Retaliation is anticipated, but there's going to have to be some sort of discretion around the scale, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Paul. I mean, we're going to be talking about calibrated attacks. One of the advantages of having a president Joe Biden's age is he's seen the risks of becoming too heavily engaged in foreign policy battles, struggles, wars, etc. So whether they hit back at Iran, I mean, they'll have to do something significant. This is the first US soldiers to die since the conflict, and obviously 25 wounded. It was a significant attack. Those troops are based there to fight Islamic State, so they weren't really part of this conflict at this stage, but we'll have to see something from the US. The Republicans are obviously baying fairly hard. We had Senator Lindsey Graham talking about hitting Iran. Whether that happens, it seems unlikely. President Biden, remember, withdrew US troops from Afghanistan under controversial circumstances. He's not big on getting engaged and getting bogged down in regional conflicts, and that's been one of the hallmarks of his response to this targeted attacks, providing support, using diplomatic pressure, but not having boots on the ground. And obviously everyone in the US would be mourning, there'd be a lot of anger, a lot of desire for revenge, but Biden is likely to be very, very careful in what he does here.
Yeah, well, I guess it really comes against the backdrop as well of what the US is hoping, that we see some sort of hostage deal in place.
That's right, Annabelle. I mean, it's very interesting news coming out. So in Paris on Sunday, there was a meeting between the intelligence chiefs of the US, of Egypt, of Israel. We had Qatar's Prime Minister there. And the talk is that we're getting closer to a deal between Hamas and Israel. The length period discussed is 2 months, and the idea of that is to bridge this gap where 2 months is long enough for Hamas to sort of be able to claim that hostilities are at an end, and Israel to be able to sell that it hasn't stopped the fight, but it gives a protracted an extended period when these hostages could be potentially brought out, and more aid brought into sort of a catastrophic civilian situation there in Gaza. Now, both sides, there seems to be a degree of optimism. Now, how long it takes, there's talk of days, there's talk of a couple of weeks, but there's still obviously 100 hostages that are being held in the enclave at the moment. But this is the strongest news we've seen that something could be afoot. Obviously, it's been November 30, the last truce that lasted for about a week ended. So we've had a long period there of conflict, and there was increasing worries. There's been a lot of pressure on the Israeli government to try to do something about these hostages, and this seems to be the closest that we've gotten to until we actually see a deal in place and fighting stop and hostages move. You wouldn't want to trust it, but these are very, very positive signs we've seen.